All right, good morning. This is my first video journal. Now, what you're seeing me draw is my third day of the 100-day challenge, drawing faces. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, introduce myself. This is going to be my first official video on YouTube. I have others that they're not listed. Started publishing to use YouTube for class this semester. I just finished a spring semester in college, undergraduate, for my fine arts program. And now that the semester's over, I took to complete a 100 days challenge and make videos. I'm using them as a journal, so forgive me if they're a little rambly at first. I will probably get more organized once I actually start writing my video essays, matching the visuals to the writing. But this video here is, at least the audio part, is me explaining why I make art at all. Why do I make art? Why do I make myself draw something for the same thing, the same subject for 100 days? Plenty of other artists on YouTube have done this before, and I think it's a great tool. They always learn about themselves. They always see progress. Even if they don't finish the challenge, it's a great learning tool. So what I'm using now is a graphite crayon by Lyra. It's 9B, so it's really, really dark. It's really, really soft, and I love it. And right now I'm just capturing some lines to help me guide where the face is on the page. Now I'm focusing on faces, so I'm not doing any backgrounds. I don't care about their clothing. I just care about capturing the face, right? I'm still employing expressive techniques, right? Instead of structural. Like, for structure, I mean the Loomis method. I'm not using the Loomis method. For expressive, I mean that I'm chaotically putting down lines as I interpret them, as I see them, and I'm making value shapes instead of actual things. I had to keep reminding myself over and over, no, we're not drawing an eye. No, we're not drawing a nose. We're drawing a shape. We are making this side darker than that one. We are protecting our light shapes, and we are laying down some graphite so that we can use the blender tool, right? I said that in my head many times while I was drawing. So let's talk a little bit about who I am. I retired in 2020 from the U.S. Army. Now, when I say I retired, I mean like almost 2 months to the day before the world shut down. So I was already just like, who am I without the Army? I was at a loss for not wearing my uniform every day. I didn't wear the persona of Sergeant Golandano. So it took a few months, but I started to ask myself, what did Angelica like? Who was Angelica before, expectations, before the job, before I enlisted? Who was I? Who am I now? Luckily, I did therapy. I did cognitive behavioral therapy for PTSD before I left the Army, so I gained some skills in that. I started the practice of journaling my thoughts. I started practicing um, using the ABC method. So I, in a situation that was highly charged with emotions, I wrote down what was the activating event or incident, what were my beliefs or my biases that created the emotion in me, that stirred the extreme emotion, because it was very, very, it was wild. I was either very angry or very sad, and for for what seemed like minor things. So, um, yeah, and then the C of ABC of cognitive behavioral therapy is consequences. So it helped me to view things differently, like the events differently. Now, I ruminated before, like I would dissect any little event that would happen, and that would keep me from falling asleep, that kept me from sleeping well, right? I couldn't really focus on what was happening or on what was the person in front of me was feeling, because I was so insecure in what I was doing to them, or what how they would take away from my what I said or what I thought or what I did. Basically, I felt like I was a villain in everybody else's story, right? Like I was either useless or not good, not a good friend, not a good daughter, not a good sister. I had genuine self worth issues, obviously, not just because I left the Army and I didn't know what to do with myself afterwards. And like that's what I was good at, right? That's what I felt good at. And so I took to watercolor first. I don't know why. I think I just started it with I had a kit, those kits, the art kits that you give kids. Well, I always dreamed of it, but my parents were never wealthy enough to buy me a like $100 art kit. I bought one. It had a nice little case and everything. Brought watercolors and oils and colored pencils and crayons, I think, pastels. Whatever the case, I took to the watercolor first. Oils were intimidating and messy, and just people were like, "You gotta be careful. You can't get it on your skin, and you gotta be in ventilated area." I don't know. Oils were intimidating. Colored pencils always annoyed the crap out of me when I used them. I didn't learn how to use them properly, so I was never. They were my nemesis. Or maybe I was using cheap colored pencils. I don't know. But I was like, I've tried these before. They suck. I'm not going to use them. Don't care. So I tried watercolor. And I had fun. I had fun with watercolor. But I took to YouTube now that I had time. And I was like, okay, these people have some tutorials on watercolor. Of course, I knew YouTube existed. I mean, at this point, YouTube has existed for like almost 2 decades, probably. I don't know. But I only used YouTube for seeking out a specific movie trailer or music videos or stand-up comics. That was my niche. But now I fell into the rabbit hole of artists on YouTube, and I learned so much about watercolor, so much, and it was incredible. I also found Proco and the Draftsman podcasts, so I was learning a lot of vocabulary. I was learning a lot of fundamentals all at once, and I decided to. Well, okay, so I started with watercolor, and I took to my sketchbooks, And I loved seeing my progress. I love how I could tell that I was becoming a better watercolorist as I went. But I noticed that my drawings were not where I wanted to be, structurally speaking. I was not traditional, like I wasn't drawing how artists draw. That's not to say that expressive drawing, like right now, like I'm doing, it's a little chaos. That's not to say that that's not good. I'm just saying that I didn't think it was good. It was my perspective. It was not the merit of the art itself. It was my perspective on my art. So so in the fall of 2020 is when I started my sketchbook practice, and I took to watercolor first. And in the spring of 2021, I started doing portraits. I asked my friends for permission to use their photos. I collected a bunch of faces because I wanted to paint faces now that I understood a little bit more about watercolor. In watercolor, it's important to save your whites, okay, to save your lightest areas, because you don't really get them back. It's not necessarily an erasable medium, right? Like graphite is. So you protect your whites. To backtrack a little bit, I was a photographer in the Army, and I learned in an advanced class, a military photojournalism program in Syracuse University, that photographers write with light. That is what photography means. But we sculpt with shadows. And I love that. I love the idea that that light and shadow can do that. So I kept that forever. I still use it now, like to this day. I mean, I literally just said it, and I learned it in 2008. So, my goodness, that was a long time ago. Anyway, so that's what I try to do. I aim to continue applying the lessons I learned in photography, but instead of letting the camera capture the light, or setting up the light, or setting up the subject so that the sun hits it in a particular way so that I can sculpt with the shadows. What I'm doing now is applying the medium, whatever it is that I'm doing right now. It's graphite. I apply the graphite in a way so that I can preserve my light areas, my lit areas, and I can push more and more on the shadows. So you just saw me make, right now I'm erasing, right? Because then I want that. I noticed that I was cutting in too much into the white part of her forehead, so I'm bringing it forward now with the light. And just before that, I was working on her neck, this little triangle underneath her chin, because that is further into her face. Her face comes out, so it casts a shadow on her neck, and that's what I wanted to capture. I wanted to make it's not just dark for dark's sake, right? Like I'm pushing my darks, which is honestly, I learned that in drawing one, but I didn't learn it until I went to Croatia with Jess Karp. Jess Karp is an outstanding artist with an outstanding following on YouTube and Instagram and all that jazz. She's an incredible teacher. And even though my college professor said these things and I learned them, I didn't actually understand the power of an eraser as a drawing tool until I saw Jess Karp do it. And I didn't understand the power of a value scale until she had me do it in Croatia. I didn't understand the value like the importance, the significance of a monochromatic painting or drawing until she had us do those skills in Croatia. I don't know, man. I don't know if it was her energy. I don't know if it was because I was in an outstanding scenery instead of just like some dank classroom with like terrible welding noises in the background that gave me migraines. I don't know. I guess there's a lot to say about classroom environments, right? In the learning process. Um this part is a little creepy. I'm erasing the white of the eye. And like right up until I actually draw the eyeball, I was freaked out by my own drawing. I usually am freaked out, but anyway, okay, so I love that. Okay, let's go back to why I make art, right? I love making art now because I love watching things develop. I love watching the magic happen right in front of my eyes. I watched it happen in YouTube. Um, I started watching like playlists of artist after artist after artist after artist, especially before bedtime, which helped me relax and helped me soothe my anxiety and helped me think pretty things before bed instead of, my natural doomsday thoughts and ruminating and anxiety and all that jazz attacking me before bed. That was the worst. The worst for me. I love sleeping. I think sleeping is so crucial to our mental processing, our emotional processing, our physical restoration, and I was not getting enough sleep because of my nightmares, because of my anxiety. So I think watching art videos truly helped me tone that down, calm that down. Journaling helped me see things clearer and more accurate so that my emotions were less intense and that I was less reactive. Those were all benefits, but the benefit of making art is that I can let my thoughts wander. I can let them, I can feel my feelings without feeling insecure or hyperly sensitive, or without, like, it was an appropriate time to feel my feelings. I feel like people have a problem with me feeling my feelings in front of them because it's an inappropriate time to have those feelings. I always had that problem in the Army. They were always like, you're too emotional, you have an attitude problem. And honestly, I didn't disrespect people, and I didn't think that they were stupid. I didn't think that they were, I didn't like just because my face was like processing and I have like a scowl on my face does not mean that I was judging people or giving them attitude or going against what they said. I was processing information, and that's what my face does when I process information, when I focus, when I make my internal lists, when I prioritize the tasks in my head, when I move things around in my head before I get to my pen and pencil. Oh, sorry, mommy's calling. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm recording. Okay, so I've talked about my watercolor, talked about portraits, I think. I've talked about the beginning of college. I was talking about my attitude problem in the Army. I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about. I don't know how to get back on track. Mommy interrupted me, as she tends to do. God bless her. So, I make art to not only have something to do, but it's because when I was little, I truly found joy in making art. So I went back to that. I went back to school. First, I started in a community college, and then now I'm on my undergraduate program in a 4-year university, focusing on fine arts. And I continue to learn every day. I am not above it, any of the tasks or any of the homeworks. First, I've always come alive in classrooms. So I'm an introvert, naturally. Put me in a meeting and I'm quiet and just receptive. Put me in a party and I am slowly dying and wondering when I can go home, when it's appropriate for me to say goodbye. But put me in a classroom and I mean, honestly, my teacher calls me dominating. So I dominate in a classroom. I don't mean to take away from other people's interaction or opportunities or their answers or because I'm right or because I know everything. No. That is not even remotely why I participate in a classroom. I love learning. I love discussing things to the deepest possible thoroughness, I guess. I don't like small talk. But if we're talking philosophy or if we are discussing the implications of an art project or an art movement or something in science, I'm fascinated and I come alive and I start participating because that's how I learn. I learn by engaging. I have the GI Bill and I have resources, right? So, and I have time. I don't have another job to go to. I don't have children to dominate my schedule, my days. So I went back to school. And I love it. I love learning. I love it. I love it so much. Oh my goodness. I think there's merit in going to school. I don't think it's required, but I think there's a lot of benefits in the social aspect, in the community aspect. Like you get to learn from your peers as much as you learn from your instructors and from the organized curriculum. There's also a great amount of learning that we do outside of school. And I call it your own personalized curriculum because I choose what to watch on YouTube and I choose what to focus on and I choose what to relax with. It varies. Like I can watch fashion for a summer, right? But I would never watch fashion while I'm doing school. Like it's just different. I don't know. I have my seasons, I guess. I have my semesters. And I try to chunk things. I try to keep it at least in a 2-month, 3-month ratio or timeline because, well, habits, right? Learning is habitual. Habits help people learn. You do something for 28 days straight, it becomes a little bit more about, it becomes more you than it was before. So if you draw 28 days straight, guess what? You're a drawer now. And I guess that's why I'm a journaler. You know, I started journaling because of therapy and I continued. It helped me to have dialogue with myself outside of my mind. It helped me get out of my head. And it's not just for the moment, although it's very, very helpful in the moment. I also reread my journals years later, and I realized how far I've come in my thinking, in my processing, in my emotional reactions, in my relationships. And yeah, I think that is an incredible tool. So I kept journaling, and in my community college courses, one of the things that was required was to have a reflection journal with every project. So you talked about your process, you talked about what gave you problems, how you negotiated those problems, and what was the outcome, like what were your intentions, and what was the end result. And then the what did you learn along the way, right? So I added that. That was, not only did I have journaling for therapy, I had journaling for creative process. And now I want to be able to talk better. I want to be able to communicate with my voice better. So I need to practice it. And that's why I started this voice journal. I give myself, 45 minutes to discuss a topic. And I'm going to listen to myself in the editing process and in the finished product. And I want to see how I improve my speaking skills. I don't have a problem speaking publicly. I took public speaking, literally, the class, public speaking. And in the Army, you are exposed to public speaking almost daily. You're kind of forced to talk in front of your peers and your unit and give orders or just give your reaction to something. We had an after action review. So after every event, we had to say what was supposed to happen, what did happen, what could have been done better, and what needs to stay, what was like so good that it needs to be repeated, right? So I'm not ignorant of talking. I am just not as good as I am in writing. I'm not as comfortable in I'm not as comfortable in conversation or in just simple discussion as I am in writing essays, for example, or reports or captions. I need to improve. So this is me trying to improve. Okay. We are basically halfway through the video, or at least halfway through the process. I don't know how much of the moving of the camera I'm going to take out, so we'll see. But right now, I'm learning that I don't like my hand in the way, so I have to set up the camera on the other side. I have to. This is the second time that I've run into this issue. Like right now, you can't see what I'm doing. You can't see it at all. So even though I do have photography and video in my career background, there's still things that I need to learn. There's still things that I can improve when it comes to documenting my art process and documenting my studio time and making these video essays, or making future video essays. This is not an essay. This is a journal. This is why it's a little bit more rambling than my future works, which will be more topic specific. This is a little introduction about me. This is me at my basically most raw. And I have to have this, right? Just like we have to have ugly art so that we can learn to make better art, I have to make my rambling audio videos in order to make better, more organized video essays later. So the three things that I wanted to cover in this video so that we can get back on track is I'm doing the 100 face challenge. You may not see every video every day but I will have a compilation at the end. That's my goal. I'm introducing myself. Oh my god, I never introduced myself. I guess I said my name. So here it goes officially. Hi, I'm Angelica Golandano, and I'm an artist. I am a veteran, U.S. Army veteran, and I am a lifelong learner. And I am going to publish my learning process, my creative process, and my healing process with you. And by you, I mean literally just me for now, because I have one subscriber, and that's my friend Kat. And I think that that's amazing, because having a subscriber actually makes me want to make videos now. Even though I had it in my background, I wasn't doing it. I was too busy learning art in my sketchbook to focus. I know that composing of camera, setting up the exposure, making sure that the lighting is good, making sure that the sequences are varied and interesting. I think and the audio is quality. All of that requires a lot of attention, and I just didn't have it. I didn't have it in my soul, in my body, or in my mind to go through all that while I was focusing on learning this new skill, which was basically manual arts, traditional arts, right? Non-photo arts. So, and now that I've been away from video making for 5 years, I've been rusty. I could tell I was rusty I was never great to begin with, and now I'm rusty. So the videos that I made for school in my last semester were so bad for the standards that I had for myself and my students in the army or in the military. Oh my goodness. My videos were bad, guys. Like, you have no idea. I was not great to begin with, for video at least. I was a better photographer. Even that was not great. I'm sorry. I'm comparing in my mind, I'm comparing myself to my best friend, who is an amazing photographer, an amazing artist, and an amazing director, and just in general, just awesome all around in all those skills, even in leadership. Like, she's head and shoulders, and I'm short, so she's tall, but she is head and shoulders above all of my skills. And I mean, I guess that's why I had insecurities, because my best friend was so good at everything that I was supposed to be doing and I was supposed to be good at for my job. I never was jealous of her. It was never negative for her. I was always inspired by her. I was like, all right, I got to do better. I got to get my game up, I got to make her proud, is really what I was thinking. And that goes with all of my friends. My mentor, Sharonda, my best friend, Vanessa, and my childhood friend, Catherine. I always want to make them proud. Oh, and my mother, of course. Mommy. Yeah, I always wanted to make them proud. It was never about, proving them wrong or anything. No, because they were always supportive of me. There were definitely plenty of people I wanted to prove wrong in the Army. Especially, oh yeah, that's why I was bringing up my attitude problem, because in class now, I have to shut up. Like, literally, I had to shut up. My professor was like, you talk too much. So I'm practicing how to talk better so that I can be succinct, right? I'm giving myself 45 minutes or so in this video so I can get the ugly out so I can get the cobwebs out, and I can get my gears working more smoothly. I can do maintenance on my brain mouth connection so I can get my thoughts in order real time, right? Like I don't have an editing software in class. I have to think my thought, edit it real quick in my head and say it without going through all of this tangential processing in the classroom, taking up everybody's time, right? I need to get a brush. I don't like taking eraser wastes with my hands or breathing on my artwork because I don't like spitting on my art. So, yeah. I had so much fun with this. I'm having a lot of fun with all of these, and I think I'm actually in a better place mentally and emotionally to do a challenge like this. I think I actually can draw 100 heads in 100 days. Some days will be really quick, but most days I focus on a single thing, right? So the first day I just wanted to do a face. I didn't want to think about it, and honestly, I was just putting pen to pencil because I had a break. I had a break. I hadn't done something in a sketchbook in weeks. I had just come back from vacation with my mom, and I didn't take a sketchbook, because I had to drive. I was never really passive. Like I was always either in a conversation with a friend or in a conversation with mommy or driving or sleeping or eating. I was always doing something. So I didn't take my sketchbook because I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to go away into my little cave when I was supposed to be I was supposed to be present with my mom, right? Or my friend. Or the traffic. But I came back and I said, I have at least 100 days, right? Until I go back to school. Technically, I will be finishing up my 100 days in my first week of class. So those will probably be the quickest ones so that I can get away from it. But luckily, I still have a good open space in my schedule where I can paint, where I can sketch, where I can write. I'm excited. I'm taking a creative writing course. It's my first creative writing course since high school. So, and I mean poetry and stuff, because writing papers and reflection essays or persuasive essays or reports. That's my thing. That's what I'm used to, I even wrote news stories in Syracuse, so I'm partial to that. I think I was better at that than what am I talking about? I was better at writing than I was at studio, for sure. I was better at designing than I was at photojournalism. Which is ironic because that's the program, right? The program was photojournalism. But I don't know. I was next to such good people that I felt completely inadequate. That's something I've had to overcome. That feeling of inadequacy. And I learned that from art. I've learned it because I love making ugly art. I love it. I love it. I don't know why. I love it. I learn a lot. I express a lot. I feel. I throw up my emotions with lines and with color and with whatever the hell comes out, without considering composition, without considering how would someone else do it, or how has someone else done it. It's all about, man, it's what's happening right now. It's about me being present in the moment, being with my lady here. This is a good look. I love that line. Her hair. I love how that works out. I mean, I change it. I add more value to her hair later, but I love how it looks right now with that singular line. It reminds me of like these, I don't know if it was in the 80s specifically, but it was definitely a mod look, like a modern look in I'm gonna have to look up what I'm gonna have to put up a picture of what I'm thinking here, like specific art from my childhood that I was like, oh, I like that. I guess it was inspiring. Speaking of inspiring, I don't know if I talked about this subject here. This is 1940s, 1930s actress or model or something. I don't know her name. I'm going to have to look it up. But I collected her photo and put it in my 100 Faces folder. See, this is a better view, but I don't know if you can see. I don't think you can appreciate what I see as much as from the other point of view. But at least my hand is not in the way of what I'm doing at the moment. Like it is covering her face or her eye, but you can actually see where the crayon is putting down graphite. I love this crayon. I don't know if you've played with this. I definitely suggest getting this. It's a Lyra, a German company. They have amazing drawing stuff, but these crayons I did get for drawing one in college, and oh my god, are they awesome. This is my first time doing a portrait with them like this. Like I used them in a big drawing on the easel to tone the entire paper before I drew whatever, the vase or whatever it was that we were drawing in drawing one. But oh my goodness, do they work like magic. You saw I could lay down some medium to get my graphite on the paper so that I can start blending. I was able to like quickly figure out my marks, my landmarks, I think it's called, for like the face, for the chin and the hair and the eyes and the weird like blackout thing that I did for the eyes. And look, I can actually do even some details with it. It's so blunt. It's like basically round, but I can still do kind of details. I do pull out a Blackwing pencil, my darkest one, for the finest details, the final details. But yo, this crayon is incredible, and I don't have the teeny tiny pencil marks that may or may not scratch the paper. And then like that was my problem. I couldn't do value properly, or like how Jess wanted me to do values, how I saw her doing them, because I used the pencil like way too hard on the paper. That's another thing I learned from her. Oh my goodness, in Croatia, in her classes, I learned how to hold a pencil or a pen, like a specifically pen, super light, and then progressively go darker and darker and darker and darker without like scratching into the paper. So yeah, I mean, if you have an opportunity to go on a trip or on a workshop with Jess Karp, go. I definitely recommend it. Truly valuable lessons. She's not the only artist that I've learned. I also went to a workshop with Robin McClendon, and oh my goodness, that was so valuable too. I made a book with her, and I gel printed with some oil some wood block inks on the gel plate. Goodness, magic. When I tell you it was magical, it was friggin' magical. So I definitely, maybe not all artists on YouTube warrant a good, like warrant an expensive trip, but if you find your, your art parents, your motivators, the people that really move you to make art, man, if they have a workshop, go do it. It's terrifying, you never want to meet your heroes. You're afraid. I'm always afraid that they're gonna be different than they present themselves on YouTube, and that I'm gonna be disappointed, or just, I don't know, that I'll see them differently. But I've only had good experiences with my YouTube artists. I say that, I've only had two. Met two in person, Robin McClendon and Jess Karp. But I definitely recommend them. I learned so much from both of them. But when it comes to drawing, and when it comes to watercolor, and just in general understanding the power of my hand and my eye connection, Jess Karp is where it's at. Okay. Oh, mommy's home, so I have to wrap it up soon. I can't keep recording now, but I will record later, okay? So I have about a fifth of the way of this video left. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to come back to when I can focus on talking. Okay, I'm back. I took a shower, went to the store with mommy, and I'm back. That's why I changed. And my hair's out. I washed my hair. Okay. Where were we? Okay. So this video is a voice journal. I'm introducing myself just in case I'm not the only one who listens to it. And just in case someone who doesn't already know me decides to watch this video and listen to me ramble. I am an artist, storyteller, veteran, prior photographer, but now I dabble in all kinds of things, so I'm multidisciplinary. I love her eyes. Don't her eyes look good? I love those eyelashes. They worked out so well. Oh no, camera's focusing on my hand. Oops. Okay. So, in conclusion, now that I'm wrapping up, I'm almost done here. You can tell because I'm focusing on details a little bit more. I am starting with this video. My goal is to get better at talking. I want to add context because my mother and my best friend always say that I do not say enough context. But on the other hand, my professors say I talk too much. So I gotta strike a balance between adding enough context to be clear, but concise enough so that the story makes sense. I'm doing the 100 faces in 100 days while I am off in between college semesters, and this is day 3. I don't particularly enjoy this shot, so I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but okay, I pushed it up. It got better. Yeah, so anyway, this channel will include video essays that are better organized. We'll have voice journals that help me process my thoughts out loud so I can become a better speaker. And I will make art, dance, or stretch, take breaks with a little bit of spontaneous yoga, is what I like to call it. I don't particularly know enough yoga to do a complete flow like the professionals would, but I do take breaks while I'm painting or drawing or in the middle of a project. And I'm going to show you how I take breaks, because I think that I incorporate lessons from my physical therapy for my back pain and my sciatica pain and my carpal tunnel and my migraines. That all can be a little helpful to young artists so that they don't, hurt themselves sitting a long time, or get into a flow and then forget about their physical health. So I think I'll include that in videos as well. My mom is in the hallway in case you can hear that. I don't think the microphone will pick that up, but just in case, that's what's happening. She's rustling some plastic bags, but it's okay. I'll wait. Oh, there's a truck outside too, so I'll just wait. I do want variety of shots, and I do have several cameras. I just need to figure out how to set up their frame rates and resolutions and all that technical jargon up so that I can get similar shots from camera to camera, quality-wise. All in all, I think art is a great tool to process your thoughts. It can serve as a meditation, kind of like a moving meditation, where you allow your hands and your eyes to make something that's in front of you on paper or clay or whatever method or medium you choose what's at your disposal, whatever is at your budget, whatever your budget allows, I think a graphite crayon, an eraser, and a sketchbook are accessible enough, as you can see. And while I was making the artwork, I was considering where I've started, where I came from, and this is why I decided to ask myself, why do I make art for this voiceover journal while this was playing? Because I wanted to incorporate some of the thoughts that I had while making the artwork. I wanted to incorporate some of the questions I asked myself, my thought processes for creating. Like, what am I doing here? Like, right now, I saw a plane shift in her collar. Now, it's not my focus. My focus is her head, so I'm not worried about the other anatomy. But I do want to have a finished work. And because I incorporated the shoulders, I do want to add enough detail to the neck and the anatomy of the collarbone and the shoulder to make it look like a shoulder and neck, right? Like, so it's not a floating head. So that's the negotiation for this, is like, where do I want to add just enough information and where do I want to push the information so that it's like better rendered. And I think that that's important for all things, right? Like, that's important for the voice journal, that's important for the writing, the essays, that's important for the composition, whatever composition it is you're doing. It's important for the reports you're writing. It's a good place to start for consideration, for negotiation, regardless of what you're doing. And that's where we leave off. This is the end of my video. I do add a little detail on her nose and to the back of her head off camera, which you will see in the photo. But it was a good time. I had fun, and I hope that I get to do more of these, and that my thought process and my art process helps those who need it. Okay.